All right, everybody, welcome to a special breaking news edition of Talk Sports Network. I'm Bobby Talk, and as you see on the screen, it is confirmed Miami Dolphins starting quarterback Tua has been ruled out by Mike McDaniel. We got Rob of DolphinsThirsty.com in the house. We got Evan Posner coming in here. We're going to pop this back in. All right, fellas. We are live. We are here. What the hell's going on? Evan, starting off with you. It's confirmed Adam Schefter, everybody in the book, ESPN, Tua has been ruled out for the Dolphins playoff game against the Bills. Head coach Mike McDaniel has announced he has not cleared concussion protocol. So live reaction right now. This is raw, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Talk Sports Network. Not prepped. We're just going off the breaking news. Evan swore everybody was talking yesterday. Tua's going to be cleared. Tua's going to be cleared. I'm saying slow it down. And lo and freaking behold.
But I'm usually wrong, right? I jinx everything, don't I?
Yeah, God love you,
I'm
brother.
the Dolphins jinx.
Yeah. But, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell everybody, we're talking breaking news. So you want to get your voice and opinion heard, let us know. We'll get you in here. But let's start off, Evan, with you and your raw reaction right now to being out. What's your thoughts on this?
It must mean he really hasn't cleared protocol, and that for me, I feel bad for the human, because of the fact that he suffered what we say is his third concussion, but second formally diagnosed concussion this season, and I'm sure it was not up to him. I'm sure the doctors, which we all had a fear, may not clear him for this. I think this is an opportunity for him to really solidify himself as the franchise quarterback, but health does come first. And with everything going on in the NFL with the number of injuries, I don't think they were going to, in the end, they didn't want to take any chances. And maybe if it was one more week, maybe he would be. But the protocol, like I said, has become so stringent because of what happened with the first concussion and what happened in Cincinnati, etc. So I'm, as a Miami Dolphins fan, for the human, if he's not ready, then he should sit. But as the fan, as a team that I love and a team that I want to win, I wish he was playing. From a selfish perspective, as an NFL Miami Dolphins fan, for the goal of winning and beating the Buffalo Bills, even though I do believe as a team we still have a way to win, the manner in which we're going to win Sunday is going to be a clawed-out fight. It is going to be, if the defense does not step up like they have in the last three games, as they've noted recently, and I read, Josh Boyer's defense has given up the least amount of yards in the last three games combined. And you think about it, we were only 1-2, and we were only giving up about 245 yards a game. You've got to give credit to the fact that the defense is going to need to step up. They're going to have to Chubb is going to have to show up. Holland's going to have to show up. X is going to have to get a turnover. Ingram's going to have to show up. So basically, this has now become, for me, a defensive game, because I don't truly believe just relying on Skylar Thompson and the running game that we're going to be able to put up much more than maybe 21 to 24 points. So that they're going to have to hold the Bills to maybe 17 points like they did the last time. If they don't, it's going to be tough sledding. So for me, if Tua was in there, even on his worst day, could put up 25 like he did. Even on his worst games, he was putting up 25. For me, it makes me sad as a Dolphins fan, because I do believe in Tua. I believe he still is capable of being franchise quarterback, and the fact that he won't be able to be there on Sunday to basically lead us to victory, I'm sad. But I care more about his health. It's just, as a Dolphins fan, I'm sad.
Rob, my brother,
well said. My battery was up.
Unfold there. Yeah, it's all right. I know this is off the cuff. This is raw. But you've heard what Evan said, man. Your reaction right now to Tua being out.
Yeah, once again, Evan stole my thunder, because that's what I was going to say. I'm more concerned about him as Tua, the person, before, we worry about our Dolphins and stuff. And, I hope everything's okay for him moving forward as a person before worrying about him as the player. Because, of course, we're in the aqua and orange that we love to wear. Of course, we're always wanting, we think about the player before we think about the people a lot of times. And, so that was a good thought, that we do have to worry about Tua. But yes, it really hurts our chances, because I thought we had a fighter's chance going there with Tua if he was healthy. that we could go in there, because we've already shown this year that we could battle Buffalo toe to toe. We barely beat them down here. They barely beat us up there. This was going to be the third rubber match to see who wins. And of course, without our number one quarterback, of course, from a football perspective, that's a big blow. So yes, we're going to have to definitely run. I saw Diggin throw in there. He's been pounding the table all year for running. So this game's really going to have to be running the football. And like Evan pointed out, defense is going to have to step up and make some game-changing plays if we even have any hope to stay close in this game.
I think that's all fair, and I see Justin's comments there. I mean, I understand the emotion of this, that your number one quarterback, QB1, cannot play this game, and it's huge, and I mean, I know a lot of people yesterday were saying it. I had an update show, and from what I read, from what I was reading and hearing, I had no inclination that Tua was going to start. We talked, if you guys caught the update show, which is now, this is the new update show, is that I did not get a good feeling after Barry Jackson was saying, and what did I say yesterday, that's Dolphin fan, that the doctors were taking it so seriously that to the point that they told the Miami Dolphins coaching staff to not discuss any topics that would cause Tua stress, such as when he might play again. He's had memory issues and inability to recall things since that Green Bay concussion. So when everybody was saying yesterday, Tua's going to play, they're just holding it. They're not saying nothing. It's like, listen, we can live in the fantasy world that everything's going to be kumbaya. But the fact of the matter is it's not, and it sucks because, this is football. We've had injuries, we had concussions, but we don't know how other people's bodies react. And obviously he's not ready to go, and the Dolphins aren't comfortable to let him go.
Yeah, just so you know, breaking news, Bobby, or not breaking, but it just really, they've already dropped us to 12.5. They've already dropped the line to 12.5. Right after the Tua news, they dropped them to 12.5.
Listen, whether Tua was playing or not, they were probably going to predict us to lose anyway. They probably would have made it to like 3.5, and then all that.
Now it's a 12.5.
Exactly. Well, and that's obvious, right? So okay, so they were dropping. I know everybody was getting excited about the little raising. It was at 9.5 yesterday, and it was like, oh, there's a sign. Vegas doesn't know what the Dolphins are doing. It's just the fact of the matter is our quarterback is out, but this is a 53-man roster. And the Dolphins did fall into the playoffs. They won the game they were supposed to win. But the Patriots lost, and now the Dolphins are in the wild card against the Buffalo Bills. There is no time for excuses. No one's going to feel bad for the Dolphins. The Dolphins need to come out and play. I mean, like you said, running the football, Rob. Justin's been pounding the table. We've been talking about it. Mike McDaniel's going to have to adjust. He adjusted last week, and it was an ugly win, but it was a win, 11-6. So, is it going to be 11-6 this game? Absolutely not. We know that. We know it won't be, but we know it's going to be a fight. And it has to be a fight in order for us to have any type of chance. Rob, I know we don't want to talk about after the fact, but
I know.
It's coming, brother. This latest development on Tua, this is the most important game right now for the Dolphins, maybe in Dolphins history. I mean, there's so much history, but I'm talking about right now. This is one of the most important games. You're in the wild card. You're in the playoffs. To me, the benchmark was not to get to the playoffs, was to win a game. And your starting quarterback, who you drafted 5th overall, is not starting today. Whatever reason it may be, whether it's the NFL, whether it's the Dolphins, or whether it's Tua really can't go. Where does this put Tua as the starting franchise, not the starting quarterback, the franchise quarterback? Where's your confidence?
I think it's very much in jeopardy, and not because of any other ability other than availability. And he's just, every year, unfortunately, he gets hurt. And then NFL also has him on their radar. So anytime if they see him bang his head in a game, there's going to be like extra scrutiny. They're going to probably get him in the, protocol every single time. And unfortunately, you can't count on that. I would still have him on contract next year, of course, go with him, but you got to find someone else probably moving forward, because we just can't count on him. That's just, of course, I may be overreacting right now because the news just broke and we're all acting with emotion. But obviously right now I'm not comfortable counting on him to play a 17-game schedule and then get to the playoffs and play in the playoffs and eventually win some playoff games and get to the Super Bowl. You need a quarterback that needs to be there. And I know that's an old saying, availability is an ability, but it is, and it's an important one at the quarterback position. And how confident can anyone? I mean, the biggest Tua lover in Tua non has to have some concerns about Tua being available for important games moving forward.
Absolutely. Evan, same question, man.
As I think about it, I listen to Rob and I listen to you. Tua, like I said, is connected to Greer, is connected to McDaniel. In the end, they're going to have the final say. But the one perspective I do have is the fact that the light has been shone on the Miami Dolphins since Tua was drafted. Then there was expectations. He should have been redshirted the first year. But then there was these high expectations because we were tanking for Tua, what happened the previous year. Then whole last year, the whole debacle with Flores and there. And then we had the whole thing with Ross. The Miami Dolphins are like a soap opera. The Miami Dolphins are treated like the ugly stepchild. If you look today, nothing to do with Tua. What in God's name is Devontae Adams, a first-time All-Pro over Tyreek Hill? How is Tyreek Hill, a guy who is the MVP of this team, who had over 1,700 yards of receiving, not an All-Pro? I don't care who's voting. The Miami Dolphins are the ugly stepchild of the NFL right now because of what we've been going through the last couple of years.
I thought he did make All-Pro.
Huh?
I saw him make All-Pro. Did he make All-Pro?
First-team All-Pro.
Really?
No, it was Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams. How the heck they gave it to Adams over Tyreek Hill is an absolute joke.
What's up, Adam? Gary?
So the Dolphins right now are in this place where unless Tua is 100% cleared and healthy, this team, there's always going to be a shadow on the Miami Dolphins. They might need a clean slate. They need someone with a clean record, somebody who is polished. Because we're always going to have the Stephen Ross cloud over us. I think we need to sort of give the perspective of unless we win on Sunday and he comes back in 2 weeks and balls again, they really seriously have to look at who's available.
That's sick.
And what they need to do, because in the end, I love Tua and I believe he could be a franchise quarterback, but at the same time, I want my team to win. And I don't care who's at quarterback, whether it's Chad Pennington, Jay Fiedler, Chad Henne, Cleo Lemon, or Tua. I don't care. As long as we have a quarterback that can lead us to victory. But like we said, as Dolphins Thirsty and Rob always says, the number one asset of any person is availability. And if you're not available on the field, like I said, if Teron Armstead doesn't play on Sunday, I don't care what he does for the next 2 years, his signing is a failure because in the three most critical games, he was as advertised. In the previous 6 years, he played on average 10, 11 games. That's what he's done again this year. He has not been there when we needed him most, and we've had to basically glue the offensive line with duct tape because our leader and our captain is not there. So for me, if you're captain at quarterback, your captain offensive line, if you can't be there for us to play 15 to 16 games per year, you have to go out and find people who can. Because we have a lot of maybe all pros on this team, potential stars on this team outside of Tyreek Hill. But we have a lot of maybes, and that's not what we need on this team. We need a team that is made up of superstars that are consistent players. Right now, we know that is to be Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle's turning into one. Can I name any others? No, I can't. Wilkins is maybe turning into one, but he's still young. If you look at all the other teams in the playoffs, on either side of the ball, they have at least 2 or 3 elite, bona fide Pro Bowl superstars on their teams. We don't have that. And Tua could have been that this year with Waddle and Hill, but unfortunately he plays hero ball. And unfortunately, that's also my number one problem with Skylar Thompson. Is Skylar Thompson, as we saw as a 25-year-old, can't process the play fast enough, and that's why he's taking him 4 or 5 seconds to get rid of the ball and why he was getting crushed by the Jets defense. And he's not facing a worse defense this upcoming Sunday. They don't have Von Miller, but Matt Milano is going to be going for Skylar's head. They better have Mike McDaniel right now is the most important key to this game, as I've said all year. He better have a run-focused offense with quick slants, quick throws, quick dink and dunks, whether it's to Gesicki, whether it's to Hill, whether it's to Waddle. If you expect Skylar Thompson to stand in the pocket for 4 or 5 seconds, this game is going to be over by midway through the first quarter, and we're all going to be flipping the channel. And with 7 minutes left in the first quarter, it's going to be 21-0 Bills. Because he's going to turn over that ball, they're going to crush him. Mike McDaniel better have a game plan to get rid of that ball within 2.5 seconds, or we're in big trouble. Because that was his problem on Sunday. He doesn't get rid of the football. He's taking too long to read his reads. It's taking him way too long. He doesn't process fast enough. He better be anticipatory. They better be hoping right now that when he hikes that ball, he's already throwing it and predicting where someone's going to be. If he's waiting for the guy to get there, we're in deep trouble. That's why I wanted Tua to play, because in this type of game with this type of defense that we're playing, and when we're playing a top 5 defense, you better have anticipatory skills or you're in deep trouble.
I think everything you're saying is absolutely fair. I can't disagree with you. But I was just looking at I was trying to remind myself what the scores were when it was Teddy and Skyler, and they didn't score.
We're averaging 16 points a game when they play, and it's probably a little bit worse with the Jets. When Tua played, even in his worst games, we averaged 25 points a game. It's a 9-point swing. It's a touchdown and a field goal swing when Tua doesn't play.
No, it's a big difference. I mean, there's no doubting that.
It's a different world. We're completely different football.
Let me just say to Jerry's comment, because I understand what Evan's saying. Jerry says, sorry, I'm flipping that channel for Dinkin and Duncan. Pick the guy and let it fly. Listen, Skylar Thompson's going to start. Skylar Thompson's going to start. And here's, I can understand where Jerry's coming from, though. And Jerry, you correct me if I'm wrong. And guys, everyone tuning in, thank you so much. Breaking news episode, Dolphins update. We got Dolphins Thirsty, Rob of DolphinsThirsty.com. You got Evan Posner up in Canada working, but doing double jeopardy here. And headache or not, I am right here. So if you want to join us, I dropped the link. You could let your emotion out. Let's talk about it for a little bit. But Jerry, from my point of view, Jerry's saying, hey, look, what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose? You need to go all out on Sunday. Now, look, the Dolphins have shown that their let it fly offense, it's been figured out, at least with Tua. I don't know with these other guys. Let's see what it could do with a Skylar Thompson. But we can't win conventionally. The Dolphins won conventionally against the Jets. Now, this is different. This is Buffalo. But Miami has shown that if we can control the clock, you got to keep Buffalo's offense off the field. That is your best chance to win. Keep them off the field and then score as many points as it can. Field goal or touchdown. I'm all about letting it fly. Obviously, I believe, and it's shown that Skylar Thompson has an arm. He can air it out, but you got to be smart. You have nothing to lose, so I understand Jerry's point of view. You got to let it fly. You got to let it ride, but we got to be smart about it. Alex, 21 points. Good one. 3 and 6 points at best.
Basically, Skylar Thompson has to watch film of Chad Pennington. He needs to basically game manage that game. The Miami Dolphins have to win in spite of Skylar Thompson. Whatever he does, just don't turn over the ball. You need to win with your defense, with your stars, which means Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle have to get open. Mike Gesicki has to get open. Christian Wilkins and Zach Sealer and Xavier Howard and Javon Holland. And why did you bring in Bradley Chubb? These guys have to show up. The team is made up of a lot of players who are able to win. I don't care what people say. In San Francisco, Brock Purdy has been a revelation, but he's winning because Christian McCaffrey and Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, those players are coming to play. The stars around them are playing bang-up football, and they're allowing the opportunity for Brock Purdy to succeed. Though that the other players have to show up. If they enable Skylar Thompson to succeed, he will succeed.
Let me run this by very quick. Let me just run this here. McDaniel, let me just read what Barry Jackson, I wanted to check what he was saying. So first off, in regards of Armstead, McDaniel has said Armstead feels frustration. He is uncertain if he's returning this season.
No Teron Armstead, better wear 4 pairs of pads. He's going to get killed.
McDaniel, the answer from McDaniel suggests Skylar will start on Sunday. Teddy won't be able to get him any reps, if any. If we were in a situation on Sunday, we need him to play. The trust I have in, he can roll. That's what in regards to Teddy. Has any concern been raised by doctors about Tua playing again? And does this team expect him to resume his career? McDaniel declined to answer, saying, I'm just thinking about him getting to full health as a human being. Let me run these by guys quick and we'll react. McDaniel said Tua hasn't had any setbacks, but has compounding variables in play. Doctors are supposed to consider past concussions before clearing before clearing a player is learning he needs to listen to the advice of medical professionals. He was an incredible part of our entire season. 8 of our wins were the result of him playing quarterback amongst the team. That's on Tua. So I'm going to be honest with you. Even if we win this game, I don't see Tua playing the week after or the week after that or obviously this season. And I don't know, just that. And Rob, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to be honest with you. Reading that part right there, and of course that part right there where it's like, don't upset him because we don't want to mess with his head. But then you read right here that he declined to answer about his career. I'm just thinking about him getting full health as a human being. Listen, it's up to him if he wants to continue playing. But for me, the Dolphins need to make a decision this offseason.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're going to have to.
Yeah, because sure. I'm not at all comfortable with those statements right there. And I think the Dolphins have not said it out loud yet, but I think they know he's not. I think my suspicion is they believe that they think he's done playing quarterback, at least for the Miami Dolphins. That's my suspicion looking at this information I have in front of me. What's your reaction?
No, not from reading it. Like I said, I don't want to be prisoner in the moment since this is all so fresh.
Yes,
and
sir.
Time could play out as the off season goes. But, until we really hear from Tua's camp and what his plans are. But like you said, they're definitely going to look for someone. I mean, if it's with the understanding to Tua that we know.
I'll put it to you this way.
They would communicate with him that they're bringing someone in. They would maybe still keep him under contract because they don't want to have that look of getting rid of a guy that's going through all of this. But they would tell him, hey, you may hear rumors and you may hear we're talking to this guy or that guy, so just be ready. So I think
I would not be shocked. I'll put it to you this way. I would not be shocked if we lose on Sunday and Skyler can't prove that he can be a good game manager and hope he's going to be the backup. I see zero qualms in going to draft a quarterback in the second round if one is available. And you know who I'm going to say is going to be the quarterback of the Dolphins next year. So I don't have to say his name. When he becomes the quarterback of this team, if this happens, Hank will no longer be a Dolphins fan. I'll put it to you that way. Because Tom Brady wants to be a Miami Dolphin. He wants to be involved in the ownership group. He just built a house in Miami. He's down the street. He's not near his kids. Why wouldn't he want with Tyreek Hill and Jalen? Well, the foundation of this team is strong. If you get the right players in the draft, if you build around them, you go get the players. If you get by the way, the one thing about getting Tom Brady here is you're going to get other players to come also. When he comes, people follow. So to get what you need and the pieces that you need, I do not see why Stephen Ross would not say, I don't have Skylar Thompson. I don't trust Tua. Why can't we go draft another quarterback, have him play behind Tom Brady next year, and have him start in 2 years or 3 years? I see no qualms with doing that.
No, I don't see any qualms in that either. Like I said, I don't want to be prisoner in the moment. There will be names connected to the Dolphins for sure. Brady of them all probably makes the most sense because of
Lamar.
Offense. Right, yeah. Lamar doesn't make sense for so many.
Like you want to talk about injuries. Where is this guy? I think he's holding out.
I know he's injured a lot. Plus, you're going to have to give up a lot for him. Plus, you're going to have to give up the money, which other teams are going to be able to offer him more money unless we really get rid of a lot of people. But when you get rid of a lot of people, where does that put you? You're a weaker football team all of a sudden again. So for Brady, it makes more sense than Lamar. And then, maybe some other names that ends up hitting the market. We don't know. But like I said, I don't want to trash my man Tua yet. The young man.
I love the guy. I know,
but I'm not trying. I don't want you using his name to advance ourselves here. But I do think that the young man needs to really consider his future. He's a young father, has a young little baby. And, unfortunately for him, he seems prone to the concussion. And it's unfortunate for him moving forward. But I agree with you, Bobby. As a franchise, we got to be tough. And, yes, it's things for Tua, but you at the bottom of the line, you're on as a football team, you're there to win. And winning is going to
guys, he may be a dinosaur, but trust me, no one is doubting him on Sunday. People right now, I'm not predicting the Cowboys are going to beat the Bucs. I just want to tell you this. Him there, no matter what, in the playoffs, you want to win, you go get the best person. If Aaron Rodgers is available, you go get him. Stephen Ross wants to win. Their
Of
window,
course.
the reason why they went to sign all these players
talking
is
about
because
Brady.
they wanted
Okay.
to see what Tua could do within the window of his 5 years with stars. They tried to do it this year. He couldn't stay healthy again. They now have the pieces. They can't hold on to these pieces forever. So you can't now start again with a new quarterback next year unless they're an established veteran with this lineup. They're going to laugh you off the field. You can't go draft a quarterback and put him in with Tyreek Hill. You can't start all over again. So right now, the only way you're going to be successful next year, if it's not Tua, is to go get a veteran who has won in this league.
Because our window is not that long. We're right here. We got this team is built to win now, and it's how that's why Greer gave up a number one pick this year to go get Chubb. He gave up a number one pick to get Tyreek Hill. So they're playing as if we're in the now window, and now look, we don't have Tua, so this could backfire on us if we don't get a veteran that can step in.
Jerry's not wrong. I mean, in regards of the league is turning to mobile quarterback. The teams want to go after quarterbacks in the mold of a Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, mainly Josh Allen in regards of size, mobility, arm strength. He's not wrong. The one connection though, when you talk about Brady, Jerry, and I think it's Jerry, it's not Gary, so forgive me if I got it wrong, but you correct me. But is that Brady's obviously connected with the Dolphins. He's been trying to get here for 2.5 years already. It's all connected. I believe that's why it's a natural thing to say his name and Evans, and it's still Brady in regards to that. But, Dan Marino, 2 cents in the house. We appreciate you, man. Let me run down this list very, very quick for you guys. And, let me just say this again, because Evan brought this up earlier and I want to say it. I believe Tua is married to the hip to Chris Greer, not necessarily to Mike McDaniel.
Right.
That's my opinion. I don't think it's all three. I think it's those two. I think, I do believe that if you fire Greer, you got to fire McDaniel and this whole thing. And we'll talk about that after this game, if that's the case. But that you said it earlier, and forgive me for not bringing it up till now, but that's just my opinion of that. Free agent quarterbacks, if we're talking about veterans, because I can understand starting with a rookie again. And, when you have this 2-year window, when you have a Tyreek Hill and that type of talent, it's better to go veteran. But yeah, Tom Brady obviously on top of the list of free agents. Derek Carr, Jerry brought up Derek Carr, who's available. I think it's via trade. He's not a free agent, but that's a name out there. Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a name I know. Justin is a fan of that name of Baker, and the possibility of him as a quarterback option for Miami. Sam Darnold, Jimmy G, which is obvious, that connection, Jimmy G with Mike McDaniel, if Mike McDaniel remains the coach for the Dolphins after this season. Daniel Jones, who's in the playoffs right now, the quarterback of the Giants, who's kind of resurrected or, put life in his career with Brian Daboll. Well, I've been a fan of Daniel since he came out. Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph, Geno, Joe Flacco, and so forth. But so those are the names out there. Is there any name? Sorry, I saw a text message that was funny. Is any name in that list besides Brady, Evan? Or let's start with Rob first. Is there any name out there that you go, you know what? If we had to go after one of these veteran quarterbacks, if not via trade, and Derek Carr is not on this list, so any of the free agent guys,
Derek Carr you can't afford.
Okay, if not Derek Carr or Tom Brady, anybody on this list stand out to you that you would say, yeah, okay, I think this guy, I would not mind to be a Dolphins quarterback.
I'm going to mind Baker, but it's going to be, there's been a lot of questions. He hasn't answered that. Is he a franchise level quarterback yet either? Just like, but I think he can play, and he's shown some signs when he's given talent, he can play around them. And I wouldn't mind Baker, but it may be another project. And I don't know about his, there's reports that Baker
it would be a bridge situation. Let's be real. Any of these guys.
I don't want drama. I don't want a quarterback that has a history.
I know that's what I was going to get to. He has a history of drama, him and, some of his receivers in the past, not naming names, didn't get along, that were diva receivers. Tyreek may not be as much as a diva as some of those other guys, but, I don't know if he would be able to handle it if his quarterback takes shots at him or vice versa, on that whole thing that happened in Cleveland. So I don't know. It's just, there's really nothing out there. I mean, it just stinks when your number fifth overall pick just a couple years later, you still got questions on due to health. And it's to me, it's really hard to answer so quick after this. I mean, of course, the best option is Tua's healthy and he gives it one more go. But it's just I just don't think we can count on him like we said. It's unfortunate. So I don't know. None of those names are great, and they all have questions. But I mean, outside of Brady, you said, so I'm not naming him. So I think Baker, because at least he has shown he can play, and you never know, get in the right system. And maybe he may have matured at this point.
Yeah, and it makes sense, and I'm not against it. I think it's more of a bridge option than it is a legitimate option, or like a franchise option. Not Johnny Manziel, 2 cents. Nathan, thank you for tuning in. He says Skyler needs to throw the ball more deep downfield, or we are in trouble. Lots of wide open opportunities for Waddle and Tyreek missed from poor reads. Hopefully, Skyler does what we thought he couldn't do. In regards to veteran quarterbacks or free agent quarterbacks, I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones re-signs with the Giants. I think he has a good thing going there with Brian Daboll. I think they may upset the Vikings on Sunday.
Right.
I think the obvious answer for me is Jimmy G. It's obvious, especially if you keep Tua for another season. You bring in Jimmy G, who's familiar with Mike McDaniel's offense. If it's Mike McDaniel, the head coach next year,
right?
Jimmy G makes
he's the most obvious, but he has an injury history, unfortunately, too. He gets hurt. I mean,
he get away from signing injured players.
I know, because Jimmy G gets hurt. I mean, that's the thing, though, man.
As Chris Greer is the general manager of the Miami Dolphins, injured players are on the table.
I said, if they lose on Sunday, I will say this: I do not believe that if we lose on Sunday and we get killed and crushed, I do not see the reality or the justification to keep Chris Greer, because Chris Greer basically brought into a injured, Teron Armstead injured, Byron Jones disaster. So for Connor Williams, they couldn't even find a center. You had to move Connor Williams to center, like fit another square peg in a round hole. All I can say is if we get crushed on Sunday and the miracle of miracles doesn't happen, I will be on the Brett Lagasse, Bobby Finstock apology tour, and I will say, fire Chris Greer. And it's not because of the fact that I think he's brought in some key pieces. The fact of the matter is that I don't trust him to go find our next quarterback.
No, that's the problem. I don't trust him either for the next quarterback. That's fine. It's tough to say moving forward because I don't give a GM more than 2 head coaches. He's had 2 head coaches that he's officially the general manager on. I don't give you more than 2. So I know. But the thing is, I'm always with Bobby too, that you got to fire both. You have to reset the whole thing. But I do not want McDaniel to be fired. So then here we are cutting pieces again, because I think McDaniel's done enough to show that he's really a potential good head coach. He's learning.
The only thing I'm going to say about McDaniel, and people might take this the wrong way, but he's become too chummy with Tua in the sense that I disagree with Bobby. He is also tied to Tua. I spoke to him last night at 10:30 at night. I just shoot the shit. It's very chummy, and it's more than just they're both young, so there's more about. It seems like they're more friends than they are colleagues, and he's his boss. So if Tua is not there, unless Tua makes that decision themselves, I don't see Mike McDaniel saying, I'm about to go get the quarterback. That's going to be the GM's decision, that he's going to have to pull the rug out, because it's not going to be McDaniel who says, I need another quarterback. I don't see him doing it.
Oh, no, you know that. Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. But if moving forward, like Tua announces his retirement or whatever, I
don't see him doing that ever.
Yeah, me either.
You'll have to throw him out of the league. The NFL's going to have to stop him from playing.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, so there are scenarios, though, that, McDaniel will go on no matter who's the quarterback. He may think it stinks, but I just don't want to see McDaniel gone after 1 year, because then it's starting the same scenario over and over again. Getting rid of.
What's up, Miami Fan Talk Show? He was on last night on the bandwagon. A lot of
bandwagon fun. Did well last night. Jeez.
And actually tuned in. I checked out his show. Oh, it did really well. But I tuned in. I watched a little bit of his show yesterday just to find him. and very entertaining. Dude is very entertaining. So if anybody watching, thank you. Subscribe now to ours, but definitely go see Miami Fan Talk Show and subscribe to theirs. That dude
Breaking
is
news:
fun.
Hank blocked me on Twitter because I kissed Bobby's butt last night.
He'll never admit when he's wrong. He keeps trying to prove that I'm wrong, but I always end up being right. But in regards of McDaniel, and you know, I don't like doing this whole roundabout thing of, hey, appreciate you, about firing and hiring and all this whatnot. But when you decided to keep Chris Greer and fire Flores and hire a rookie coach and keep Tua and then trade for a superstar in Tyreek Hill, you shortened his window. You opened the opportunity to make it a one-year stay. The problem is with this is that when you look at your past head coach who started the season last year 1-7, what a team that people were saying was a playoff team. You started 1-7 before going 8-1, which was that one loss was just terrible. It was a bad game for Tua, who wasn't injured, just played like trash. It was a bad game of coaching and Flores. It was the Tennessee game. We finished 9-8. 9-8 on the season. Here's the only difference between this 9-8 and that 9-8. We go to the playoffs for this one. Started 8-3, lost 5-1, I believe, in that part. Finished 9-8 on the season.
They're almost mirror images, like, you know, it's just like
exactly. You know, you look and it's a reverse of, you know, offense. Offense was what, 25th in the NFL.
But remember, they were 1-7 mostly with Jacoby, not with Tua. We have to remember that.
Yeah, well, still got him fired. There was no excuses there. He got fired.
Of course.
And then you look at it here, and then we're, you know, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, but
we know there was a couple.
Look what he's done. Look, we're 9-8, and we made the playoffs. The only difference is we fell into the playoffs. Flores didn't have the luxury of falling into the playoffs. So
my number one issue,
that's my only thing when people, and it's not Rob.
Yeah, but the other difference is though it's 1 year as opposed to 3 years. You know, and granted,
and you look at those 3 years though. I mean, in those 3 years.
Yeah, you can't say the first year for Flores because that was supposed to be the tank season. So I throw out the first season for him.
Yeah.
You know, I give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it's hard to get rid of this for a
second. I know, but think about this for a second. With that first year when we were 5-11, did anybody expect the Dolphins to win 5 games? No.
No, they won more than they
exactly.
He won because most fans wanted him to win less, so we would have the number 1 pick because, you know, it's still tank for Tua, but that's when everyone thought that Tua was going to be the number 1 pick. And
this is what I'm saying. And then the year before that, this 9-8, which you were saying was like they had 3 years, overachieves in his first year, goes 5-11, gets the 5th overall pick. They miss out on Joe Burrow. They draft Tua, and then they go 10-6. The following year, better than this year, 10-6.
Miss the playoffs.
Miss out on the playoffs. Yep. And then this year, and then the following after that, they go 9-8. They go on this losing stretch at the beginning of the year. I was saying Greer and him needed to be fired because this was a 10-6 team. How do you go backwards? And then they go on this huge roll and they win, and they just miss out on the playoffs. This year, 8-3. It's amazing. Oh my goodness, it's fun. It's finally here. 8-3. Tyreek Hill, Tua, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you lose, go 0-5, then you win the final game, and you fall into the playoffs.
By the way,
so I don't think Daniel's head is off the table. I get it, but our offense was ranked.
Who was the one guy on the network? Who was the one guy on the network who, even when we were 8-3, still wasn't throwing confetti at the head coach? I've had a problem with this head coach since week 4, and the fact that he can't adjust to nothing, except. The last 3 games, if you look about it, and I looked at the stats, I was shocked when I read it. Josh Boyer has been better than Mike McDaniel the last 3 games. He has kept them in every single game. They've given up 245 yards of offense in 3 consecutive games to Aaron Rodgers, to the Patriots, and to the Jets. Now, we're not talking about bang-up offenses, but still, 245 yards in the NFL for a defense that doesn't break is pretty good. To only give up about 20 points a game with this offense, whether it's Teddy Bridgewater, Skylar Thompson, Mike Glennon, Tua, with this offense and the weapons you have, you should be able to put up 21 to 24 points. We've been putting up under 20 points a game.
Yeah, but we've had a makeshift offensive line too, though. You got to throw some stuff.
Yeah, but we had a makeshift offensive line last year, and somehow we won 8 in a row. I don't want to hear it. Brandon Shell has been fine. Robert Hunt has been fine. The penalties have been awful the last few games. In the end, like I've said, the head coach has to show up on Sunday. If they lose, but they make it competitive, props to Mike McDaniel. If we lose 48-10 and it's a complete shellacking, I will be on that post-game show calling for Greer and McDaniel's head. Tua or no Tua. You're the head coach of this football team. Was Kyle Shanahan complaining when Brock Purdy came in? Was Bill Belichick back in the day complaining when Drew Bledsoe, who was a superstar quarterback at the time, went down and he had to go bring in Tom Brady? I don't want to hear this nonsense from Mike McDaniel. You play with the team that you have. You are expected to do something. You're in the playoffs. You're an NFL team any given Sunday. Do something on Sunday. Come up. You're a McGenius. You were a genius run scheme guy in San Francisco. This is your opportunity in the playoffs to use Savon Ahmed, because I'm not counting Raheem Mostert yet. To use Jeff Wilson to their skill set and use your wide receivers with speed in the backfield. If you're not going to do that and you're not going to go run heavy and you're going to rely on airing the ball, this is a recipe for a disaster. And the game is going to start at 1:00 and it's going to end at 1:15.
I know, but like I say, we can't be too quick though to fire coaches every time, because who's going to come in?
I'm saying that I'm of the emphasis of stop.
You can't fire a guy unless you know someone's
if they play well, Rob,
has to be a veteran coach.
If they play well, McDaniel, and they still lose, I'm up to McDaniel getting a shot and getting a GM that works with McDaniel. However, if they get crushed, I'm tired of the ring around the rosy of basically musical chairs, which whoever if they play, if Ross plays.
Well, that's what we're going to do again. Then, if you're saying get rid of, we're going to,
I said if it's a close game and we lose, I'm going to fire Greer on the basis that he did not get the right free agents who are healthy to allow us to win. He's been here for 20 years. Get something new. If we get crushed, I will be on the fire both of them train, because I don't, at this point, I'm not going to hire someone. Because when you heard Sean Payton on Sunday on Fox say this, and I don't think he's coming to the Dolphins in any way, shape, or form. He said it's not the quarterback, it's not the players. The two things people are looking for when they want, as coaches, and when they want to come here, when he's looking for a job, ownership and front office. Our front office is laughable right now in terms of the fact that we keep on doing this where we can't decide one versus the other. Like for me, Cal McNair with the Texans keeping Casario again, like fire both at this point if you're going to do this. Like why are you keep on reinventing the wheel with the same general? Stop doing that. So
I agree. And the ownership we can't control, obviously, because Ross is going to have to sell the team for anything to change there. Front office, of course, you could change in an instant if Peyton tells Ross, well, if you get this general manager here, I'll be here. So that you can change instantly. But the owner, you're not going to change. And I just don't know. Ross's reputation around the league is probably not the greatest. I mean, as a fan, I like him because he's willing to spin and he's just got some things wrong. But anyway, go ahead, Bobby.
No. I think people make it a little, in regards to Ross, I think people make it a little too much about Ross and not about the front office. He's the one who hires. I think the thing that's against Ross is that he's more loyal to a fault, where he keeps somebody like Chris Greer and fires this guy like he did with Jeff Ireland, what he did with Dennis Hickey, Tony Sparano, Joe Philbin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's always this recycling thing. But I think a lot of GMs, and it's like McDaniel has said when he met Ross, a lot of players, a lot of coaches, and even GMs would like to work for someone like that because he's not somebody who's stingy with the checkbook. It's not that, it's just he hires the wrong people. And we continue, Greer is the one that I think is the biggest at fault here, because it goes over and over again. It's the hurt players, and I don't want to talk about, who he should have or who he shouldn't have drafted, because I've said it in the past. Think of Igbo, you think of Austin Jackson, well, Jonathan Taylor, Tristan Wirfs, those tackle and a running back, those two studs. I won't talk about the quarterback situation. It's a continuing thing. And when Ross made the decision to fire Brian Flores but keep Chris Greer and then hire Mike McDaniel, that's what opened the door to, okay, this could possibly be the case. Because if he goes, okay, let me fire Greer, if he likes McDaniel, says, let me fire Greer, then who does he go for a GM? There's people out there. Does he say, okay, do I let the new GM choose the head coach? Do I say, hey, McDaniel, you're safe for now, but I'm going to let the GM decide if you're fit? That's okay in my opinion, because then you're going to let that GM marry himself to McDaniel. If not, he needs to make a decision. Greer has to be the first one fired. Then he needs to make a decision if he's going to go ahead and let the GM decide McDaniel's fate, or is he going to go to McDaniel and say, hey, is this assistant GM up in San Francisco, Adam, I'm forgetting the last name, I think Adam Peters or something like that. Do you like this guy? Do you think you could work with this guy? Because you can't deny, as Miami Fan Talk Show has said, the Dolphins were the 6th best offense in the NFL. They were 3 at one point. They're the 6th best offense. You've seen that difference. You haven't seen much difference in the defense. Let's help pick a general manager you're going to be comfortable with. Let's go get a defensive coordinator that you'll be comfortable with that can help build this defense, and let's see what you can do next season. That would be best case scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If after Sunday, let's say the Dolphins get blown out, and Ross doesn't use the excuse that's because Tua's injured. If the Dolphins get blown out with this type of roster after going 8-3, and that's what's messed up about the whole situation. This wasn't like, all season we're back and forth and back and forth. No, it was 3-0, 0-3, 5-0, 0-5, 1-0 to finish the year.
We're definitely a streaky team for sure. It was a
streaky team, but we were 8-3, number 2 in the AFC, number 1 in the AFC East at one point, talking Super Bowl. Not just us, the National Football League was talking Super Bowl with the Dolphins, to drop 0-5 and make the playoffs because another team lost their game.
Yeah.
That's why it's a fireable offense, because you were up here and you just totally collapsed when you said this team was a Super Bowl team. That's why I think it's not off the table. I've already made my opinion known on how I think it should play out, but we'll see how it goes. In regards to Tua, which is this is why we're doing this episode, because
this is why Tua is the problem.
I understand, but the reason why, going back to Tua, look, I'm not going to say the Dolphins totally out. Everything happens, but yeah, we're starting our 3rd winning streak. I'm with you. We've gone 3-0, 5-0. All this back and forth. Now it's time for that little win streak. Here's a win streak from your lips to God's ears. 2 cents. But in regards to our quarterback, that's not a franchise quarterback when you can't rely on him to be here. And especially,
that's the biggest knock. We can't count on him being healthy.
Can he be a successful starting quarterback in the NFL? Absolutely. He's proven it this year. He's shown it with the talent around him. He could be a successful starting quarterback. But we're talking franchise quarterback for a talented football team that was on the cusp of making a run and getting injured. And we stalled out, and he was a part of that stall out until the final game where he threw 3 picks and we found out it was a concussion. That's where that's where you have to decide, hey, look, dude, we got too much talent on this roster to not have a franchise legitimate starting quarterback who can be here all year. Because Tom Brady might be a dinosaur, but Tom Brady's played every football game this year, and he's playing this Sunday. Go ahead, Rob.
No, that was it. No, I agree with you. It's just tough because as a Dolphin fan, we have this conversation way too often. It's always either quarterback, coach, general manager that we're all beating up on. And it's not, no one's beating up on Tua, the person, of course, I'm just saying, but it's just the position. I'm just talking about the position, and it's the same thing. And it's the offensive line that has stinked for years. And a big part of that is Chris Greer the past few years on why we haven't improved in some positions. But it's just the same circle over and over because we all hated Jeff Ireland and wanted him run out of town. We all hated Mike Tannenbaum running him run out of town. And we get all those things, but then we just never get anyone good in their place. It's just, and some of it's probably luck. I hate to say it, but some of these guys, because the draft is never a sure thing, and some teams just hit on the draft better. Some of it could come down. We're just an unlucky damn team.
Can I just say, all fair points. I will just say though, like you said, Jeff Ireland, Dennis Hickey, Mike Tannenbaum, Spielman before that. You go on and then you talk about all the coaches that have gone on through the years. But the common denominator in that front office has been Chris Greer.
Yeah, he's been there, right? And maybe not in the powerful positions, but
he's all a part of those losing formulas.
No, I agree.
So, and the problem is too is Dolphin fans in general have a short fuse. My thing is, I don't think anybody, I don't ever criticize anybody for what they think when it comes to what they demand in their team, because you've been a fan. Obviously, you're older, so you've seen a lot. I've been since the early '90s. I was the Wannstedt years. That's why I think, man. I mean, Wannstedt was the last coach that won a game, in the playoffs, and
he was.
So that's why, like, when people say, "Oh, Wannstedt sucked," I was like, "Yo, dude, he was the only one who won. Name all the other ones."
I know,
but I think I don't think it's wrong for fans. And not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying, for me, in my opinion, for fans to demand more. This organization in general is dysfunctional. You know, when you fired the coach last year, you should have fired the GM who was a part of that, and then go and let the two, then hire both of them. Whether if you're not going to hire a veteran coach, you should have hired a new GM to pick a rookie coach. So then they're married for 3 years, and then you can't fire them. But now, because since you fired the head coach last year and you kept your GM, and then this rookie coach, I don't care what anybody says, he was not the first option. He wasn't. They reported, and Big Philly, I see you, brother. They wanted Sean Payton. That came out. I think they wanted Daboll if they weren't going to get Sean Payton, but Daboll chose the Giants and they got McDaniel, and that's what it is. But really, this is about Tua's situation. It's just that's conversation. I think this is conversation for after. But let me
put it this way: this team needs a break next year from drama.
Oh, that's
okay. So the only way to get away from this is to bring in, if Tua is not the guy, which we don't think he right now, based on his health, will not be, they need to bring in a veteran in the structure. If they decide to keep Chris Grier, the one thing I would demand from Stephen Ross is to hire a president of football operations.
Oh, I'm all about that. Whether you keep Grier or not, you need to hire someone who's in charge.
I'd go hire a Louis Riddick. I'd go hire someone who knows football. Anyone to go above this guy and have final say, who's basically the ear to the same way that Don Marino's an ear to him as an alumni. You need an ear as an executive to Stephen Ross, like the same way Tom Garfunkel is on the day-to-day of the Miami Dolphins. You need someone on the player side of it.
Let's see what happens on Sunday in regards to the coaching staff. But in regards to the game, and then we could go over coaching staff and what could happen.
If we win, at this point, I'm making a prediction right now. If we win, Danny Crossman's gone no matter what. We win on Sunday based on what I think is going to happen in the way that we need to win. Josh Boyer is going to save his keister.
Okay.
Because if he goes 4 games like this, and if he holds Josh Allen to 21 to 24 points and they win, or 20, I'm telling you right now, that's going to be joined. It's going to save his keister. It's going to save his keister.
Yeah. Let me welcome very quick, Rob. I'm sorry. Let me welcome Big Philly 305. In 2 seconds at this point. Hold on a sec. Let me welcome Big Philly 305 to the house. He's on the show here. He is host of the Miami Fan Talk Show. Go check them out on their YouTube page. Like and subscribe to the channel. Awesome stuff. Awesome dude. Of course, Dolphins Thirsty YouTube page as well. Dolphins Daily every day at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Of course, DolphinsThirsty.com for great Dolphins content.
Thank you.
Big Philly, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, gentlemen? How are you?
What's up, my man?
Chilling, man. In my lunch hour, my little half-hour lunch. I was like, let me catch these boys right quick. I didn't know y'all were on that. I was like, all right, I'll get on here a little. But, I have a comment. There's another common denominator with the Miami Dolphins and the lack of success over the recent years. And you know what that is? Patience. We're not patient. We don't give players time to develop. We don't give coaches time to build the rosters they want to build. We don't give general managers time to develop those rosters as well. But it's usually a 3-year window. You don't realize Chris Grier was with us for 20 years, but he was a scout. That's what he was for. That's why they promoted him to GM, because of the success he had during the Ireland era and during the Tom era with the draft picks that he chose. You know what I'm saying? So I'm guessing some of those late round picks are the ones that he picked up. Guys like maybe Rashad Jones, Jeremiah Bell. I think Jeremiah Bell was part of Tannenbaum. Like those type of players that he maybe had insight on, and that's why he got that promotion. Now, am I saying that it's not Chris Grier's fault that we're in the position that we're in when you sign a free agent left tackle to back up your injured left tackle and he's injured. That's his fault. That's on the medical staff that cleared him, that passed him during his physical to get signed. That's on a lot of people. But am I gonna sit here and say he doesn't draft well? No. He just doesn't draft offensive linemen. Every other position that he's drafted, he's hit on. The only one that we haven't seen yet was Tyndall. But everybody else has hit and has shown that they're capable starters in the league. You get what I'm saying? Like guys like Holland, who's arguably one of the best safeties now in the league. You have who else did he draft? He drafted Waddle. He did draft Tua. Tua we don't know yet. He had a great year this year, even though the record shows something different. But statistically, he has a better I think he has a better completion rate than even Patrick Mahomes. I think he's at 105.8.
So let me just say, no, I think it's fair to say what you're saying, and I get you. And that's why, the whole patience thing runs right on the Brian Flores situation. There was no patience there. He was 3 years there.
But they didn't fire him for coaching. They fired him because he lacked the ability to communicate and didn't do what the front office wanted. If he would have did what the front office wanted, he would still be a Miami Dolphin.
What did the front office want?
Exactly what he sued them for.
Exactly, and that's right. And that's fair, and that's and that's where it's a big sticky situation because that's where the dysfunction comes in, right there too. What the front office wanted,
the same reason why Lovie Smith got fired.
Well, Lovie Smith is fired. Lovie Smith was fired because the same thing for David Coley was fired. They never wanted. They hired Lovie Smith as the last ditch situation, and then they're going to go get the guy. They're probably going to hire Josh McCown. Like they wanted to do. I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
They fired him because he lost that last game and cost him the first overall pick?
No, I think they fired him because they knew they were going to fire him. I think they fired him because they knew they were going to fire him, and that but all good points. Let me go ahead and run down Chris Greer's list very quick because you're right. Scout and all that whatnot. But I think it's all good points. So let's run this down right.
Hey, real quick, Bobby, I gotta go. So thanks up to all you guys, and let's go Dolphins. I mean, on this down news day, let's still root for our Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills this coming Sunday. And go Dolphin, fins up, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. All right,
later.
Yeah, first year 2017. They had Charles Harris, first round pick, Raquan McMillan, Cordray Tankersley, Isaac Asiata was the guard out of Utah. Devon Gatra, who was a good pick. That was a 5th round pick. Vincent Taylor, Isaiah Ford. Second year running it, hit on his first round pick that year, which was Christian Wilkins out of Clemson. We all know that. Michael Dieter, injured, started as center last year. Andrew Van Ginkel, linebacker. I think everybody likes Ginkel.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah, Isaiah Price, tackle, Chandler Cox, fullback, and then Myles Gaskin, running back. Gaskin, I would count. I think Gaskin's all right.
I like Gaskin. He's a good compliment back.
Absolutely.
He's not a starter, but he's a compliment back. That's people don't like to acknowledge that he's a quality back.
This was his first draft class, which might be something that goes in your direction of what you're saying. First draft, he drafted, of course, got lucky there, but hey, look what it paid off in the end. Laramie Tunsil, offensive tackle, Ole Miss. Xavier Howard, corner. Kenyon Drake. Those were 3 hits, and then of course you got
Kenyon Drake was a great pickup too, and he's
absolutely
now he's out of the league for the most part, but he gave us a couple of years of good quality work. So
for sure, no doubt. Leonte Carew, Jakeem Grant.
Grant's another one.
Yep, Jordan Lucas, Brian.
Why they ever got rid of him for punt returns? We could still use him as a returner.
I know. Brandon Dottie, Western Kentucky quarterback, and Thomas Duarte, UCLA tight end. Let me go to here. 2020. This is where the big question marks come in. This is draft class. I think free agency. Free agency is a whole other thing. But
I think 2020 they started. That's when they did
Tua.
They did the fire sale. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Tua, the 5th overall pick. Austin Jackson, Noah Ibenogany, Robert Hunt. So Tua is the question mark, and that's health. We know he could play starting quarterback. Franchise quarterback is a different question because of health, especially now.
Right.
Austin Jackson. I know I don't like calling anybody bust or anything out, but you could put Austin Jackson, Noah Ibenogany. Those were drops. Robert Hunt, that's a good pick. Raquan Davis, a good pick. Brandon Jones, a good pick. Kinley, he's what do you call? He's not a bad pick, but he's what do you call one of those guys? He's in the background there.
Yeah,
Strawbridge,
McKinley,
yeah. Jason Strawbridge, defensive edge rusher, never heard. Curtis Reaver, drafted, cut. Blake Ferguson, he's our log snapper to this day. Malcolm Perry, he's no longer there. Keep going. 2018. That was Minka Fitzpatrick. He's gone, but he was a good pick. Mike Gesicki, he'll be gone after this year, but a good pick. Jerome Baker, starter, solid. Durham Smythe, backup, solid. Kalen Ballage, not here. Cornell Armstrong, Quentin Poling, Jason Sanders, our kicker who Evan loves.
I forgive. By the way, I'm his motivation.
So, and then of course you have, right. Jalen Waddle, this was 21. Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, Eichenberg, Hunter Long, Coleman, and Gerard Dokes. That was in 21. So, yeah, there's a lot of hits on there. So, no doubt what Big Philly's talking about. I mean, that counts for something. What do you think about that, Evan?
The hits are wonderful, but when you go get elite players and you spend on so-called Pro Bowlers in Armstead, Hill, and you have Howard, and you go sign Chubb, you're going all in. If you're going all in, you have also next year, maybe the year after. Next year, their best chance to win is not going to be with Skylar Thompson, Teddy Bridgewater, Mike Glennon, or Tua.
I think though the Chubbs deal, I think that people get that.
Yeah.
I know people thought it was like we're all in, which yes, we are all in. But I think too that they probably looked at it. They sat there and said, "Okay, this is our first round draft pick, right? Who's projected in that spot, right?" They're probably
I understand that.
We need to replace Agba, right? So like, who's going to be available free agency?
Yeah, but you paid him a lot of money not to do much. He's still going to learn the defense. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that they expected more because they had the mindset that they relied on Tua to do it. And what we also thought is Teddy, for the second year in a row, you went to go get a veteran backup, whether it was Jacoby Brissett or Teddy, and they both have been failures as backups. They have not shown what they can do as backups.
So Teddy's horrible.
Skylar.
Teddy's been awful.
Let me just say for Shadow 24 very quick. And Shadow, thank you for tuning in, man. You're listening to this is the Fins Talk Sports Network Dolphins update. Smash that like and subscribe button. We got Evan Posner, the Fins bandwagon. You got Big Philly 305 in the background of the Fins Fan Talk show. Hopefully I got that right. I'm sorry if I didn't.
Miami Fan Talk.
Thank you, sir. Miami Fan Talk. But if he says if we win, just keep rolling with Skylar this playoffs. I don't think there's a choice there, Shadow. I think it is Skylar for the rest of the way.
But Skylar's motivated right now. Skylar knows. Skylar is terror. Skylar right now.
Zeros become heroes, brother. Zeros become heroes.
He literally could be. They will honestly, if he beats the Buffalo Bills, people are going to want to erect a statue. Kenna is going to want who watches this show is going to want to erect a statue next to Marino. Like this will be. Think about it. Think about it. If he's the quarterback that leads us to victory on Sunday, this will be the biggest win in 25 years of this team. Because the Jay Fiedler game was awful, but if you look about this is since the Marino years. This will be the biggest.
Don't go off on Jay Fiedler, man. Jay Fiedler got his playoff game, man.
I never said that, but you remember his stats that game? I think he threw for 120 yards. I think he threw for 120 yards.
A win is a win, baby. That's it.
I know that. I'm saying if he wins this football game.
Yeah,
he is going to be immortalized in Dolphins. He won't just be the 7th round pick. He will be talked about in Miami Dolphins history for forever.
Big Philly, let me ask you, brother. So we get this news on Tua, man. He's not going to play on Sunday. It is devastating. So let me first ask you. Let me ask you about this weekend's game. With Skylar starting at quarterback, we knew. Look, obviously, no. I don't think no one whether Tua was starting or not. I know if Tua was starting, that's our best chance to win. But more than likely, nobody was going to choose us to win this game. But where's your confidence level right now, brother, with Skylar starting and this team going against the Buffalo Bills?
Look, man. You hear my co-host say this a lot on our show. It's any given Sunday, right?
Yep.
Um, Look, you hear a lot of this too on other platforms where people say Miami hasn't played a complete game on all phases of the ball.
We've been saying that. Yep.
Yeah. So if Miami wants to win this game, they have to play and be successful on all phases of the ball. On special teams, on defense, and on offense. This needs to be our most complete game that we have played all season. That's one. Two, feel a lot better if we confirm that Trent Armstead is going to be playing this weekend, because that solidifies this offensive line. This offensive line plays like a top 10 offensive line with him in the lineup, in my opinion, right? Without doubt. Because as long as the thing is with me is I think that this offensive line does not communicate. And communication is key on the offensive line, especially when you got to pick up these bandits and shit. And if you're staying quiet and you're not communicating with your team, it makes it more difficult. I think Trent Armstead does that. He communicates. He up level. He up level. He pushes everybody's levels up, basically, on that offensive line. And finally, on the defensive side, we need to capitalize on turnovers. I think that if you can run a turn, because Josh Allen will throw a pick on Sunday. He will throw a pick. He's throwing almost 20 picks this season, 20 interceptions this season. He's gonna throw a pick. They need to capitalize on that pick and try to convert it with points. If they do that, we have a shot.
All right.
The defense has played subpar the past couple weeks. Buffalo, they've been on the decline. They have been even exposed, especially by a very weak New England offense, and what they did to them defense. So I think that we have a good shot. The key is going to be, can we hold Josh Allen to under 21 points? That's going to be the key.
That is the key. I think that's a great point. That's their best chance. Keep it under 21. Who
said that? Who said that? Wait, who said that at the beginning of the show? It was my first comment.
Okay, but Big Philly's saying it now. What's up?
At least we know that great minds think alike.
That's correct.
That's why I'm waiting to be invited on your show on Friday.
Oh yeah, man! Come on, bro. I welcome anybody. We have a lot of fun on our panels. Hey, and wait till I do Domino Friday. Oh, yeah. I'm Cuban, man.
Hey, what part of Miami you from, brother?
I was actually born and raised I was raised in Carroll City, but I grew up. I live in Sunrise now, but I've been all over Miami.
I grew up down. Right now I'm in Tennessee. I'm near Nashville, but I grew up in Hialeah. My family's still there.
Yeah. By the way,
Bobby,
say that again.
I went to Miami Lakes Middle.
Oh, great, man. Yeah, I was at the Miami Springs Senior High and Miami Springs Middle High. So, yeah, man, that's pretty cool, brother.
305. Just to let you know, Bobby is a Ryan Tannehill super fan. So wherever he ends up, he moves. So if Ryan Tannehill moves, goes to Las Vegas next year, we're going to hear that Bobby's moving to Las Vegas.
I have a Ryan Tannehill autograph bought at the house, actually.
There you go. Hey, no hate on Tannehill. I can't hate on Tannehill, man.
No,
but
they also need a new quarterback. Why don't we go back and get Tannehill? We need a veteran.
Tannehill should never left.
By the way, Bobby, the guy who always puts Evan Posner number one.
Is that him?
He's my employee, so he's bugging me now.
I heard him say
there he is. Number one. Now get out of my podcast.
But hey, Big Philly, I want to thank you, brother, for joining us, man. Yeah. This is really cool to have you on. You're always welcome back.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Yeah, I tuned in a little bit the other day, or yesterday, excuse me, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I was laughing at the start of it. So guys, definitely go check out his show. Evan, we'll see what happens. We have all week to kind of digest and see how it's going to play out. I don't know what we're hearing on Raheem Mostert yet, but hey,
But
any
I would
given
not play him
Sunday-
either. That's a fumble waiting to happen.
Yeah, any given
Yeah,
Sunday.
but we don't. We're fine even without him. I think we'll still be fine with Wilson because Wilson's gonna go back. And Ahmed, he's a good quality backup back that can kind of play the same similar position that Mostert plays in this offense. On the backfield, he can definitely stretch out. He just doesn't have the vision that
Wilson's
Mostert
fine.
has. But I think we'll be okay. We just need to bring in. I feel another back, just in case a third back, and we should be fine.
I think you're right.
And they gotta focus on that run game. They gotta focus.
No,
on
run the
using
football.
Wilson.
I don't care that Mostert's out. You got to run the ball.
But not only that, open up the RPO game. People forget Skylar
Yep.
Thompson can run. He has wheels. Use them. They
I
didn't use
think-
them against the Jets. Use
I
them.
would be very surprised if the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, this Sunday do not go all out. I think
They
again,
have to.
you are the underdog. There's no safe football here. You got to play all out. All hands on deck.
Hey,
Open up that playbook.
a hungry dog is a scary dog.
Damn right, brother. You're absolutely right.
They got to come in there the hungriest dog in the lot.
I love it.
I'm serious, but that's
I
how
agree
they
with you,
win.
brother. I agree with you.
Desperate times come for desperate measures, and they're on desperate measures. Jet sweeps, all that shit. Open up the playbook. Use the very last play if you have to, but that's the only way we're gonna win the game.
For sure.
It
All
needs
right.
to be a dogfight.
It has to.
And they have to get They have to rattle Josh Allen. They have to rattle him.
So I'll just say though, in regards to Dolphin fans, yes, it's sad. It sucks. You know, you're
I hope you do feel better, by the way.
but
You'll be all right.
Tua, is not there. But hey, you know what? I don't say it's not over. I don't care what anybody says. They could say whatever they want. It's not over any given Sunday. It's a full team effort. Let's hope they pull it off this Sunday and shock the world. And let's hope they continue to shock the world. That's Big Philly 305. That's Evan Posner. I'm Bobby Finstock. Rob earlier, Dolphins Thursday. We appreciate you all. Like, subscribe, and most importantly, Fins up. Thank you, everybody.
Fins up, guys. You have a great day.